our lesson today, subject resource management. We are now in week number 2. Week number 2 is about planning and resource allocation. So last week, we discussed the description, the objectives, the learning outcomes of the subject resource management, di ba? Okay, so I uploaded the PowerPoint about week 1 and for week 2, yung ating klase. Once again, I'm Dr. Cortez. That is my full name. Those are my credentials. And for today, we're going to roll out first some reminders for you guys now. And the topics for today are the following: planning concepts, strategic and operational planning. Those are the types of planning, setting priorities, linking planning with budgeting, resource allocation and government, organization, government agencies, and public policy and resource demands. And after rolling out the topics, ito naman yung ating mga learning outcomes, or at the end of the topics, at the end of the lesson, these are the things that you guys are capable of doing. We have 4 learning outcomes: explain the principles of planning in public resource management, identify the relationship between planning, budgeting, and service delivery, develop simple resource plans for public institutions or government institutions, and lastly, discuss the importance of prioritization in resource allocation. So last week, we mentioned that there are lots of different types of resources: the human resources, financial resources, the manpower, the equipment, the materials, the records. Yun ang mga resources na sa isang government or private institutions. And before I continue, pwede bang mag-request to subscribe sa aking munting channel? And to continue, introduction to planning. I know you have lots of subjects or lessons about planning because we know planning is planning ahead of time, di ba? Doing something for the future. So definition of planning, there are lots of definition of planning, but for this one, planning is organizing resources to achieve specific goals in the future effectively and efficiently. Involves decision making about future activities. To organize the resource, organize ngayon pa lang, no, for 2027 to the 2026. We are organizing yung ating mga financial, mga human. Budgeting is part of planning. Binabudget natin mga financial, but we also organize the manpower of the company, the manpower of the organization, the equipment, for example, protecting the equipment, procuring materials for production for next year in 2027. So this one is a no-brainer, importance of planning. We know that planning is really important. Effective planning enhances the importance in an organization. Effective planning enhances organizational efficiency to avoid, for example, wastage, spoilage, or waste in producing, for example. We do something now para efficient yung paggagamit ng mga resources natin. Reducing waste, reducing failure, and at the same time, increasing the success rate is higher. Mas maganda yung We know that the future is uncertain. Pero maganda ngayon pa lang, we minimize uncertainty by planning ahead of time, no? By minimizing uncertainty, minimizing risk. Of course, we cannot avoid risk and uncertainty in the future, but we can minimize if we organize the materials now, the finances, the equipment, the manpower, the employees of the company. So I'm moving my slide. So dito tayo sa types of planning. Ito yung mga mga levels of planning. The first one is the strategic planning. Strategic planning involves long-term goals, overall direction of the organization. Typically spans 3 to 5 years for implementation. So yung pinakamataas sa isang company, sa isang organization. Example, sa isang government institution, isang department. Example, Department of Labor. So, who's the highest authority sa Department of Labor? Siyempre, the Labor Secretary. Mga secretaries, no? They are the highest authority sa isang government institution. Sa Quezon City government, for example, of course, the mayor is the highest. Sa nationwide, of course, the president. That is for government offices, the mayor, the secretaries, the president, the governor, the barangay chairman. Sila yung the highest authority. Pag sa mga private organizations naman, of course, the highest authority are the CEO, the owners, the board of directors, the president, the managers. Again, a partnership, the controlling, the majority partner, siya yung pinaka authority. If that is a sole proprietorship, solo, so of course the owner, his or she is the authority. Sa mga university naman, we have example in one government university, state universities, may president in university, may board of regents in university. In private universities naman, example, in one of the universities, we have the director, the campus director. Sila yung mga authority. So, sila yung gumagawa ng strategic planning. Strategic planning are being done by the highest authority sa isang organization, whether it is a government or private. Kasi it is not being done always, no? It is not being done annually. Kasi long term, pag nag-strategize ka, that is long term. Example, you are the head of San Miguel Corporation. So what is the strategy ng San Miguel Corporation? So to produce products for consumers. So long term yan, hindi sa binabago taon-taon. Yan ang direction ng isang company. Yeah. That is not always changed overall direction of the organization kung saan sila pupunta. Yan. So you can observe na yung mga strategic plan nila ay minsan nakalagay sa kanilang mission, vision, objectives ng isang organization. So doon mo makikita yung mga yung direction ng isang company, isang university, for example, to produce, one of the direction of one universities is to produce mga IT graduates, mga IT educated na mga graduates, no? And that is not being changed all the time. It extends to like 5 years for implementation. So that is the highest form of planning ng isang organization. The next one is the operational planning. Operational planning focuses on day-to-day activities. Ito yung lowest form, no? Operational planning. So, yung pangalawa is tactical planning. Tactical planning translates the strategic plan. So, if you have now the strategic plan. You will now create your tactical planning, because tactical planning means translating your strategic plan into specific actions and short-term objectives. Kung yung strategic plan is 5 years, 3 to 5 years, ang tactical planning is 1 to 3 years ang kanyang ginagawa. So parang mas in-specify ng tactical planning yung strategic planning. Example, strategic planning ng isang company to increase customer satisfaction for the next 5 years. Increase sales of the organization for the next 5 years. That is strategic planning. Now, how are you going to translate? Paano mong papataas ang customer satisfaction ng yung company for the next 5 years? Gagawa lang ng tactical planning. Diba? Example, tactical planning is you're going to train yung mga empleyado ng iyong company in customer service, in good customer service. So parang ini-specify mo na kung paano gagawin. Paano ba ma-achieve yung strategic planning? Customer satisfaction for the next 5 years, increase in customer satisfaction for the next 5 years. I-train mo sila. You train all the employees in good customer service. That is tactical planning. And the lowest form is the operational planning. Operational planning kasi ito yung mga day-to-day operation. The lowest form is the operational planning. Operational planning focuses on day-to-day activities and short-term goals ng company. Ito ay araw-araw na iba yung mga operation, ang mga plano mo every day. It ensures resources are allocated efficiently within the organization. So bawat araw meron kang plano. Example, if you are the owner of one company, paano mo ma-achieve yung pag-train sa mga empleyado ng araw-araw. Pag-train sa empleyado in customer service. Ito na yung sa araw-araw. Dapat empleyado araw-araw meron silang ginagawang good customer service. Yung pag-attend na mismo sa mga sa mga customer, hindi na ito yung training, no? Ito na yung the employees will now be facing yung mga customers and then apply yung kanilang training sa customer service. So, paano mag-serve sa mga customers if the business is resto, how to serve, how to greet, how to politely smile sa mga customers. That is being done every day. And so operation planning, ito yung mga how much cash are to be allocated, how are to be spent sa isang araw. Sa isang restaurant, for example, no? Siya nung i-assign sa isang araw. Pagkanong bad sa isang araw. Those are operation. Yung pag-operate, no? Yung you're not operating the business, umaandar na yung negosyo mo. So, meron ka na dito mga araw-araw na plano. The same thing with government offices, no? Meron sila mga sa araw-araw, meron sila ginagawa ng mga operational planning. If you're the president of one university, one state university, or we are the director ng isang department ng government. So araw-araw meron kang ginagawa na plano. It changes. It may change every day, no? Kasi operational planning eh. Yung mga types of plan na pwedeng gawin, no? Mga owner, head, authority ng private or government. Okay, so I'm moving my slide now. Naman steps in the planning process. So you have the objectives. Setting clear and measurable objectives is critical for effective planning. Gawin natin, no? Objective muna. You know by this time na pag nag-set ka ng objectives, pag nagplano ka, merong objectives, no? And the objective should be smarter. Repeat natin na smarter, no? Specific. S is for specific. M is measurable. A is attainable or achievable. T na tama, smart. S is specific, M measurable, A is attainable or achievable, then R is that it should be relevant, T is time bound, may oras na. Pero smarter na ginagamit natin, that is smart na, but now we are now using smarter. The letter E is it is possible to evaluate yung objective later on. And the last R is revised. Yan. So objectives can be evaluated, objectives can be revised. Objective mo ganun. No? So sa isang organization, mayroon silang mga objectives. May mission, may vision, may vision, may mission, may objective ang isang organization. Yan, ito yung mga mission mo. Pag meron kang mission na gustong maabot, ma-achieve, you are going to break down or specify anong pwedeng gawin to achieve the mission. Pag ang mission mo is good customer service, saan ang mga objective mo, di ba? To help or to train the employees, to reduce customer complaints, yung mga objectives mo eh. That is the first step sa mga planning process natin. Then, based on objectives lang yan, hindi siya gagalaw pag it will remain as objective. So, anong pwede natin gawin? Anong gagawin natin sa mga objectives natin? So, dapat ang objectives natin, bawat objective, gawa ka ng action plan or the call to action. You walk the talk. Hindi puro talk lang yung objectives. Dapat gagawa ka. Because action plans, it outlines specific steps to achieve set objectives. So, steps to achieve the objectives. So, ito yung mas detalyado na to achieve the objectives. Example, ang objectives mo is to reduce customer complaints. So, anong pwede mong gawin to reduce customer complaints? Diba? So, anong action plan ang pwedeng gawin? O di i-record yung mga complaints, o ano mga madalas na complaints na nangyayari so that you can do something about customer complaints, diba? Or train the employees about handling angry customers. At maganda dito yung dapat improve yung product. Kasi mag-improve yung product, improve yung service, mababawasan yung customer complaints. Yung mga steps na pwede mong gawin, depende sa iyong objectives. Or pwede rin objectives to reduce expenses. Diba? So, anong mga steps, anong action ang pwede mong gawin to reduce expenses? Ulitin ko ang objective, reduce expenses. Lipat tayo sa kulay blue. Anong mga action plans ang pwedeng gawin to reduce expenses ng organization? Anong pwede? Example, action plan, minimize overtime. Parang babawasan ang salary expense ng company. I-monitor paggamit ng mga electric equipment, mga ilaw, yan, para ma-reduce ang electric consumption ng company. Minimize wastage para mabawasan ang cost ng mga raw mats or ng mga raw materials. Right? So, ito yung mga responsibilities, resources, and timelines for completion. Meron siyang example, example naman is sa isang school, isang university, isang state university, Quezon City University, PUP, those are government institution. Objective, increase enrollment. Yan. So, ano pwedeng gawin to increase enrollment? Lipat sa kulay blue ulit. Ang action plan, ang format niya, increase enrollment, ang action plan, siguro dito kasi ang isang ang isang government school pala, hindi naman nagbabayad ng mga estudyante dito. But in private universities, talagang they have this objective na to increase enrollment. Example, isang private university, objective, increase enrollment by 10%. Okay. So, anong action plan ang pwedeng gawin? First action plan, increase the marketing activity. Ayan. Sinong responsible? The marketing head. Anong resource ang gagamitin? May cash na nagamit yan, pamphlet, cash. Tapos yung timeline. Ayan. Anong timeline? Example, ang pasokan ay June. Pero yung timeline dito, April to May. Yung increased marketing activity. So, completion, dalawang buwan. That is one step, no, in increasing enrollment. O pwede namang action plan body system, di ba? You may require the students to bring their friends mag-enroll sa school. Sino responsible? Mga estudyante. Resources, mayroong resources din na involved kasi may award yung mga makakapagdala. Yan. So you're just breaking down paano gagawin yung objective. And of course, what is to be done with the action plan. Action plan, di mo sa binantayan. Pag inaningas kogon lang, magaling lang sa una, hindi mo binantayan. So, important yung monitoring. Monitoring progress ensures that plans are followed. You check every time yung mga action plan na iyong ginagawa and objectives are met. Pag na-monitor mo yan, yung action plan, so yung objectives, it follows na mamimit din yung objectives. Of course, pag may nakita kang to be adjusted or to be checked na mali or errors, mistakes, it should be adjusted. So those are the process, no, in planning. Now the second topic is the setting priorities in an organization. Importance of prioritization kasi hindi naman all the time is you have the resources. Mayroon ding scarcity pa rin ng mga resources. Scarcity of cash, scarcity of financial, scarcity of manpower, scarcity of equipment, records, resources, forms. It's important sa isang government organization yung pag-prioritize. Effective prioritization improves focus and resource allocation within organization. So parang we eliminate yung ibang hindi natin masyadong ginagawa. So iniiwan natin yung mga talagang kailangan sa organization. Mga expenses na kailangan sa isang organization. Para instead na you are monitoring 5 resources, 5 equipments, 5 expenses, we eliminate that 2. So, tatlong matitira. It is better to monitor, to focus on only 3 instead of 5. Prioritization, it enables better decision making and it enhances overall productivity. Yung lean management na. Sa business, meron tayong tinatawag na lean management. Yung we streamline, we eliminate yung mga unnecessary sa loob ng isang organization. We can eliminate jobs, masyadong maraming jobs na redundant. Pwede nating tanggalin. Pwede nating i-combine, pwede nating multitask ang isa para matanggal yung isang job. Purpose is to prioritize mga talagang priority ng mga gastusin or position or materials sa loob ng isang organization. Now, in setting prioritization, it is important to know yung 5P framework and prioritizing. The 5P framework provides a structured approach to setting organizational priorities. Ito gagamitin natin kung paano natin malalaman, paano mag-prioritize. Ito yung purpose, the process, the people, performance, and project. At tinawag siyang tinawag siyang 5Ps. Ito tutulong sa atin in knowing pag-priority. Okay, so assessing organizational needs. we prioritize yung mga kailangan talaga. Talagang mga indispensable na mga task or functions. We eliminate some jobs pero may kailangan talaga. Ito yung mga assessing kung kailangan talaga isang position, materials, equipment, or process. Pag hindi, we remove. And how do we assess? We analyze the objectives of the company. Analyze the objectives of the organization. Clear objectives are essential for aligning organizational efforts towards common goals. They guide prioritization process and ensure focused initiative. An objective, improve customer service. Okay. So how do assess yung mga jobs or position hindi masyadong kailangan sa customer service? Remove. Yung mga employees na may mga complaints about customer service, remove natin yan. Yung mga position na hindi masyadong kailangan, remove. Objective, increase sales by 10%. Okay? So, ano mga position yung hindi na masyadong nagka-contribute sa achievement ng pag-increase ng sales? Kapag kailangan ka, ikaw talaga ay salesman. So you may stay in the organization. Second one, you check from the stakeholder perspective. Understanding stakeholder perspectives enhances buying and aligning priorities across the organization. Engaging stakeholders provides valuable insights for effective prioritization. So, who are the objectives ng ating organization? May internal stakeholders, di ba? The employees are stakeholders of the company. The owner are stakeholders of the company. The investors naman. Pero rin sa labas, the stakeholder ng company natin. Organization, the client, the general public, the customers, the suppliers, the competitors, the general public, the government organization. Yung mga merong mga say, mga stakeholder na merong mga say sa ating business. So we should get their perspective in aligning priorities across the organization, di ba? Example, you may ask the employees kung anong priority dapat gawin ng isang organization. We may do a survey to get the perspective of the customers about the priority. Example, we are prioritizing, no? Aling mga product yung ating i-innovate to increase sales, no? Anong mga product yung we should eliminate? Yung mga products na slow moving, mga product na obsolete. You may get the perspective through surveys ng mga customers. Kasi sila nakakalam sila yung mga gumagamit ng products if what are to be eliminated, to be discarded, and which products are to stay sa shelves ng company. And of course, we assess the needs depending on the resources availability. Assessing resource availability ensures feasibility of prioritized initiatives. It identifies constraints and aids in optimizing resource allocation. Constraints are the budget. Pag limited yung budget, of course, you may judge if which employee should stay in the company, diba? If the budget is constrained, kulang yung budget, alin mga products ang tatanggalin natin because there are products that are very costly to produce. So remove natin yung mga products na gano'n, no? Depending on the availability. But if the resource is available, you have abundant resources. You may decide that all products, all employees, all equipment should stay. And I'm moving my slide now to the next one. The 5P framework explained. Ito yung sa prioritization. Itong ginagamit natin. Yan. Dependent performance. Performance metrics enable measurement of success and impact of prioritized initiatives. They provide a basis for adjustment and continual improvement. Depends performance, example, depends performance ng isang employee. Kung sa ipa-prioritize natin to stay, depending on the performance of one product. If that product is contributing to the overall sales of the company, kasi good performance, stay. Or if you have a group of companies, no, and you are going to decide which company should be closed down. You have 10 companies now, then you monitor that 2 companies are performing below the average, below the other companies. Poor performance financially. So you may think of closing down yung mga companies na yan under one group of companies. And you also have the projects. Prioritize projects drive organizational growth and innovation. Clear project objectives align with the overall strategy and mission. Ito naman hindi mga companies, no? Kundi mga project na talagang, example, you are the Department of Public Works and Highway, government agency in charge with projects, infrastructure in the country. So meron sa project na high priority, kailangan, may mga example na ginagamit sa commerce, mga bridges, highways na nagpapabilis ng flow ng commerce, ng business from the province to the city. Mga high priority, mga daanan, no? Highways, bridges. Mga daanan kasi sila sa talagang ginagamit everyday ng mga commuters or business owners going around the country. Yan. Yung mga ports, mga pantalan. Those are priority projects. So you base the prioritization based kung yung project important. May yung project naman na medyo hindi masyadong urgent. Example, mga buildings, hindi na masyadong or yung iba dyan, mga parks, government parks, kahit wala namang parks, okay lang . Pero mga hospitals, government hospitals, they are priority. So depende sa project ng government. And the third factor to be considered, the third basis to be considered in prioritizing resources is the purpose. Purpose defines the organization's mission and vision, guiding all prioritization efforts. It clarifies why certain initiatives are critical for success. Ang purpose ng isang organization can guide if priority. Example, the purpose of sabihin natin DepEd. Ang purpose ng DepEd is to yung bang walang maiiwang estudyante. Lahat ng estudyante ay dapat makapag-aral. That is the purpose of DepEd, for example. O di yan, no? Yung talagang yung mga pag-hire ng mga teachers is a priority. Yung mga buildings, school buildings is a priority. Kasi that is the purpose of DepEd. Another one, the fourth element to as a basis in prioritizing process. A defined process facilitates systematic evaluation of priorities and implementation strategies, ensuring clarity and consistency in decision making. Kung matagal yung process, That is not a priority. I mean, may mga process na matagal gawin. It will take some years bago magawa. So, unahin natin yung mga process na medyo mabilis. Isang private companies, ganun din, no? May mga process na ang daming pipirma, ang daming mga signatories. So, unahin natin yung mga mabilis gawin na mga proseso. And of course, the fifth element to be considered in prioritizing is the people. Engaging the right people is crucial for successful prioritization initiatives. Their involvement fosters ownership and accountability within the organization. Okay, so may mga taong sila yung ating priority. Di ba sa isang organization kasi, the most important resources in the organization is the manpower. So yung mga tao, pag involve yung tao sa isang organization, sila yung ating priority. So what I'm saying is, kung magpapatayo ka ng building, bibili ng equipment, unahin mo muna yung sweldo ng mga tao. So yung anecdote, no? Anecdote, ito yung sa, Great Wall of China. Ang Great Wall of China, napakataas niyan napakataas, napakalapad. Napakahaba, thousands of kilometers away. So, the Great Wall was built by the Emperor of China to protect the country from invading barbarians. Na ginawa yan, Pero alam niyo ba, nasako pa rin ng mga kalaban ng China. Kahit mataas, kahit malapad, kahit mahaba, napasok pa rin. Ang tanong, paano napasok? May Great Wall na. The answer is, siyempre, yung Great Wall may gate. Now, pag may gate ang isang wall, so may mga guard. So, anong ginawa? Di binayaran yung mga guard bribe. Di bribe the guard para makapasok yung mga kalaban ng China. Bakit tinanggap ng mga guard yung bayad? Kasi hindi sila binabayaran ng maganda ng emperor. Si emperor nagpagawa ng malaking wall, and he has forgotten to pay yung mga wages ng mga soldiers. Sa isang company, ganun din, Huwag kang magpagawa ng mga building na malaki or equipment. Unahin mo yung sweldo sa ako ng mga empleyado. So, pag involved yung mga tao, if the people are involved, priority yan. Okay, implementing prioritization, communication strategies. Effective communication studies ensure transparency in prioritization decisions. They cultivate a culture of trust and collaborative engagement among teams. So, paano magka-collaborate nga naman? Paano ka naman nagka-collaborate kung hindi mo alam yung gagawin or yung mangyayari? So it is better to lay down first ng mga gagawing projects or prioritization para mag-collaborate yung iba. That is communication, no? Communication is a magic word. Communication can always do a magic. Yung kinakausap. Pag-uusap, negotiation is crucial. Lahat dadaan sa communication. Next one here, the tools and techniques na pwede natin gamitin. Utilizing appropriate tools and techniques enhances prioritization efficiency. Anong gagamitin natin? No? Pagka nag-i-implement, aside from you communicate yung pag-priority, hindi pwedeng, sa communication strategy, hindi pwedeng bibiglain mo sila, bubulagain mo mga tao na about the priority. So, dapat sa plano ng prioritization, kasama yung mga stakeholders, companies, ibang hindi sila magugulat bakit nauna or inuna isang project. Now, another one, in implementing prioritization, you're going to use tools and techniques. Some of the tools na pwede natin gamitin, the matrix scorecards na pwede natin gamitin. Sorry, of course, you are not just guessing kung sino yung unahin. Pwede kang gumamit ng mga para transparent and objective hindi ka nanguhula ng prioritization mo, gumamit ka ng mga matrix, mga tools, no? Na scorecard, yung bang or checklist or check boxes na parang chine-check mo isa-isa yung detalye, the pros and cons ng isang choice. Example, you have 10 choices. O brainstorming, di ba? Yung talagang you scrutinize yung pros, yung cons ng isang item, ng isang choice, no? Para malaman natin kung yan ba ay priority or hindi. You're using scorecards in choosing kung saan dito yung mga priority. And of course, you're not only the one making the choices. Stakeholders should be involved. Kaya nga dapat transparent, no? Para malaman ng ibang mga stakeholders yung pag-implement ng prioritization. Aling product ang tatanggalin? Hindi lang ikaw mag-isip niyan. Employee kasama dyan. The customers are kasama. Then gagamit kayo ng mga scorecard, matrix, checkboxes, brainstorming, root cause analysis bago mag-decide. Okay, we have the monitoring and adjusting priorities. Regularly review priorities prevents stagnation and promotes agility within the organization. It allows for timely adjustment based on changing circumstances. Nothing is cast in stone. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng baguhin yung ating mga priority through regular review process. So, tuloy-tuloy yan, no? Hanggat hindi natatapos yung review, pwedeng magbago, work in progress ang pag-monitor natin. Kasi baka mamaya, yung una hindi sa priority, but because of some circumstances, hanggang dumating sa dulo, slowly, no? Nagiging priority na siya. Pag hindi mo chine-check regularly, if you don't have review process, hindi mo malalaman na nag-adjust pa, nagpapalit yung mga circumstances. Then, if the circumstances change, yung priority mababago din. You may adjust. Parang feedback mechanism din, di ba? Regularly review, ikaw nagre-review, but involved mga customers dito, involved mga employees. So they should be getting their feedback. Implementing feedback mechanisms encourages open communication about prioritization effectiveness. Feedback supports continuous improvement and responsiveness to stakeholders. So from a different perspective, hindi lang ikaw nakakaalam kasi kung bakit baguhin na isang priority, marami ka ditong kasama. From different perspective. Yung perspective ng customers, iba sa perspective ng may-ari. You might not be seeing something na nakikita ng mga employees or ng mga customers ninyo. So, important na hindi lang ikaw. No? Feedback, parang 360, lahat nakapaikot. Should be getting feedback, and feedback are gold. At ang feedback, maganda or pangit, you incorporate sa prioritization. It is also important to adapt to change. External to diba? Hindi lang naman sa loob yung kino-consider natin, but also the outside. Nagbabago yung sa labas Pag sa labas yan, those are uncontrollable. Wala kang magagawa dyan. Example, adapting priorities in response to change is essential sa labas. Ano ba mga pwedeng magbabago? Economic environment, political environment. Nung una, priority mo yung isang product, nagbago yung economic, nagbago yung customer trends, may bagong batas na binigay yung government. So, example, taxation. So, mababago yung priority. At wala kang magagawa niyan because those are political, those are external environment, those are uncontrollable. Pag nagbago yung rate ng dollar, nagbago yung employment, bumaba yung economic activity, bagal yung economic growth sa labas. It will affect your prioritization, di ba? Meron kang project na priority, gustong gawin mo to. That is your number one priority. Economically, nagbago, bumaba ang activity economic. So, yung sales ng business will be affected. So, baka hindi mo na magawa yung number one priority mo. Okay, linking planning with budgeting. Strategic alignment. Budgeting is part of planning financial budgeting. Kasi pag sa atin budgeting, you're planning your financial for 2027. At ngayon pa lang, ginagawa mo na yan. So strategic alignment ensures organizational goals synchronized with budgetary commitments, enhancing efficiency and effectiveness. pag nagplano ka, kasama dito yung budget. Meron kang budget na kinocommit. Pag sinabi mong ang pinaka-direction ng company is to be the number one IT university in the country, may budget na kasama yan. Pag sinabi mong ang goal mo is overall strategic to be the number one fast food in the country by 2031, that is 5 years from now, may kasama siyang budget, may commitment, no? Hindi ka pwedeng, mahirap gumalaw. It is hard to move without capital, without the budget. Resource allocation. Effective resource allocation maximizes utilization, minimizing waste, and ensuring target achievement. Hindi palaging nagbigay ka ng pera, nag-allocate ka ng pera, tapos hindi mo siya monitor. You should also monitor yung pag nag-allocate ka, yung monitor na efficient ang paggamit ng resources na yun. Example, naglagay ka ng pera sa isang branch, nag-allocate ka ng pera ng manpower sa isang branch. Dapat yung monitor if yung pag-allocate mo ay efficient. Pag sila efficient, walang masyadong nasayang, masinop ang paggagamit nung pera, na maximize sa pag-utilize ng pera and ng tao and the manpower. Of course, pag efficient, dapat effective. Pag sa effective, naglagay ka ng pera at masinop ang pagkakagamit ng pera, walang nasasayang na pera, that is efficiency. Pag efficient, you should also monitor na effective. Pag sila effective, kung saan gagamitin yung pera na inallocate sa isang branch, ay dapat na-achieve na gamit siya papunta dun sa objective na yon, na-achieve. That is effectiveness. So palaging magkasama yung efficiency and effectiveness. Hindi porke efficient ay effective na, ha? At minsan effective ka, hindi naman efficient. So dapat dalawa. Performance metrics evaluate success, aligning financial outcomes with strategic objectives. Ano bang financial outcome natin? Liquidity, tapos profitability. Yan. Yung mga performance natin na chine-check ng isang to check the success of one task na gagawin sa isang organization. Profitability, payback period, liquidity. Yan, yung mga measure natin para to measure success. Ang profitability ang measure Example, profitable ba? Yes, kasi 30% ang profit. So, na-measure performance na. Or success ba? Yes, kasi ang payback period, 3 years lang. Ibig sabihin, within 3 years, na ibalik yung pera. O yung puhunan, or yung capital. Okay? Planning process. Ulitin natin, ang sa planning process, ang unang ginagawa natin, of course, sa lahat ng bagay, we start with objectives. Objectives should be clear. Ang objective kasi, ito yung pinaka-overall na mag-guide sa'yo. Ito yung pinaka-biggest, no? Pinaka-nagtatali sa lahat ng involved or stakeholders sa planning process. Establish priorities and performance. Sa unang meeting pa lang, you roll out the objectives ng organization para lahat ng stakeholders alam yung dapat performance level na dapat meron sila. Mga expectations na dapat meron, na dapat gawin. Measurable ang objectives. Example, pag sinabi mo, sige, dapat makabenta tayo ng 10% more than the previous. Ang performance mo, kita mo din, dapat sisipagan mo pa. At lahat ng department kasama dyan. Pag sinabi nating benta, kasama dyan yung HR kasi HR is the one who hires the good salesperson. Yung accounting ang magbibigay ng sahod na malaki doon salesperson na yun. Ang production, ang gagawa ng product para tumbas yung benta ng company. Kasi kahit magaling salesman, kung pangit yung product, hindi tataas ang benta. After setting the objectives, we will now identify the resources na kailangan. Identifying resources ensures adequate support. Pag wala nga namang perang support, no? Paano ko gagalaw? Pag walang mechanism, walang mga vehicles, gusto mo magbenta ng sa malayong lugar, wala namang support when it comes to transportation allowance, di mahirap din. May time frame, i-develop time frame, di pwedeng nag-set ka ng objectives, nagplano ka, tapos wala sa time frame, puro plano. Dapat mayroong action plano. Gawin natin to for the next 3 months. So developing a time frame establishes a deadlines. Pag may deadlines na urgent mga empleyado, dapat merong alam nila dapat kung kailan yung deadline. So meron kasing pag may action plan, may owner ng plan na yon and give them the deadline. Dapat alam nila yung deadline. Risk assessment sa planning process, we are conservative. Hindi lahat ng plan ay perfect. So we should be anticipating yung risk na pwede mangyari. Risk assessment identifies potential obstacles sa planning. Dapat proactive. Hindi pa nangyayari yung risk, dapat in-anticipate na natin. We should not be waiting for the risk to happen. Prevention is better than cure. Kaya nga proactive. Proactive strategies to mitigate financial and operational challenges. Ano mga financial challenges na pwede mangyari? Net loss, yung naubusan ng capital yung company, di ba? Na bumababa yung sales ng company. It can affect the planning process. Masisira ka pag wala ka ng masyadong budget, bumaba yung benta ng company. Yung mga financial, no? Pwede naman challenges operation. Human can be a risk. May nag-resign, di ba? May conflict sa loob ng company. Hindi masyadong effective yung manager, supervisor. May mga risk can cause chaos sa loob ng isang organization. Budgeting process natin. In budgeting, pag sinabi natin variance, ito yung difference. Minsan yung target mo, meron kang budget, example, dapat sa 2027 yung ating gastos ay 100,000 lang. Yan target. Then yung actual ay 110,000. So may difference, 100 versus 110,000. Yung variance ay 10,000. So you analyze, bakit lumampas sa budget? Maraming reason, di ba? Ba't lumampas sa budget? In budgeting, it is important yung pag-project ng revenue or ng benta ng isang company. Kasama yun sa revenue, no? Proactive adjustment, revenue projection. Ang revenue, ang gastos, guys, no? Hindi siya hinuhulaan, no? Yung benta natin. Yung forecast natin ng revenue for 2027, you should not be guessing. Gumagamit ka ng mga technique to project, to forecast yung revenue ng isang company. Kasi ang revenue pwede namang historical, pero maganda yung gumagamit ng mga technique. Kasi mahirap, hindi ka pwede mag-budget expenses, no? Hindi mo alam yung magkano kikitain o revenue ng company for next year. Sa budgeting, you monitor, you adjust yung budget mo. Kasi may mga factors that can affect the budget. Nag-budget example ng production. Sabi mo, in 2027, aming production ganito. We are going to produce 500,000 units ng product. And suddenly, isang supplier mo nag-back out. Nawalan ka ng supplier. So mag-a-adjust ka ngayon. Pag walang supplier, siyempre you'll be affected pag walang mga supplier. Example, you're planning to produce 500,000 pirasong litsong manok in 2027. May isang poultry supplier mo, no, na nag-back out. Nagsarado sila. So you will adjust. So you monitor mga suppliers mo kung talagang they are still at it in 2027. Okay? If you have now project or forecast the revenue, pwede kang mag-forecast mag-estimate ng expenses mo. Expenses are cost, mga raw materials, magkano gagamitin, labor, magkano gagamitin. If the company is manufacturing. If the company is service-based naman, example, may mga government offices na service-based, di ba? Nagpo-provide lang ng service. Example, Department of Foreign Affairs service yan no? Alam mo sila ginagawang production Department of Tourism, yan, mga service yan. Then you should estimate yung magiging salary ng mga empleyado in 2027. So, it's important kasi kasama yan sa budget. Magkano budget i-allocate sa mga salary ng empleyado ng Department of Tourism in 2027. Kasi ang budget for 2027, ngayon pa lang, ginagawa na yan. Resource allocation in government agencies. Government to, no? Later on, you will be working in the government. Mga BPA kayo, di ba? Bachelor of Science in Public Ad. Will be working in local government, City Hall. Meron akong estudyante, marketing yung kanyang course, pero ngayon nagtatrabaho siya sa Malacanang under the Office of the President yata. So kayo, talagang you will be working sa government office. It can be local government, City Hall. You will be working in the barangay, local government. You'll be working in departments of the government, DFA, pwedeng Department of Labor, Department of Agriculture. Malalapit lang dito sa atin. Sa Quezon City, marami mga government offices. Sa Circle, marami. COA, PhilCOA, Department of Agriculture. Yan, dyan din yung City Hall. May sa Agham, meron din the Office of the Ombudsman. Yan, kasama din sa How resources are allocated in government agency. Basically, yung budget for 2027, ngayon pa lang nagsasubmit ng mga budget yung mga departments overall. Then ina-approve yan, no, ng department budget. May hearing pa yan, no? kung ina-approve or hindi. So resource allocation refers to distributing resources to various needs effectively. It ensures optimal use in achieving government goals. May mga department na malaki yung budget eh. May mga department naman na maliit lang yung budget. Check ko kung ano yung mga government offices sa Pilipinas, no? Ano yung mga departments sa Pilipinas ang may allocated na malalaking budgets? Sa departments allocation of budgets in the Philippines. Kasi I know yung department, and I don't know if it is still true today. Dati kasi ang mga department na may pinakamalaking mga budget are the Department of National Defense, the DepEd. Yung mga malaking budget yan. Ngayon kasi I don't know, but I know I have read one time na the Department of Education, example, for 2026, the Department of Education ang may pinakamalaking budget allocation. Sinundan ng Department of Public Works and Highways. Sinundan ng Department of Health. Sinundan ng Department of Interior and Local Government. The Department of National Defense. Yung mga top government agencies na may mga pinakamalaking budget allocation or resource allocation. Importance of government context. Effective resource allocation enhances service delivery in public sectors. It promotes economic development and social equity. So bakit Department of Education ang may pinakamaraming budget? Depende sa goal ng government, di ba? If they want that no students should not be left behind. Pwede more classrooms, more teachers to be hired. Kaya ang budget na 1 trillion eh. 1 trillion yung kanilang budget sa Department of Education. Overview of current practices. Current practices focus on data-driven decision making. So, hindi naman mag-approve basta-basta ng budget. May mga budget na di-disapprove. Kapag nag-submit ng budget, dapat back up ng data. Lahat ng items meron siyang data. Ba't kailangan itong budget na to per item? Otherwise, disapprove. Example, pwedeng data, historical data. Yung budget namin last year, ganito, 1 million. Pwede sa sunod na taon, siguro mas mataas na. Diba? Kasi meron kang data. Yung mga budget kasi na, example, budget ng DepEd, di naman siya na-approve basta-basta. Dapat meron silang itemized, no? Kung bakit. For example, 10 items supported ng data yan. Example, budget number 1, mapupunta sa mga teachers. Ba't ganito ang budget? Ito po yung aming data. DepEd is going to hire more teachers in 2027. Budget item number 2 sa classroom naman. O bakit ganito yung budget? We are planning to build ganitong dami ng classrooms. So data driven. Government to, no? Mahigpit sa government pag hindi sa backup ng data. So hindi siya ma-approve. So water break. Okay. Key principles of resource allocation. Nag-allocate ng resources, may accountability. Sa accountability and resource and transparency poster, trust in government resource allocation process. Clear reporting. Kung kanina punta yung budget, so they are accountable. They should be reporting yung reimburse, replenish, mga supporting documents, no? Pag sa private companies, ganun din, no? Pag binigyan ka ng budget, kasi magta-travel ka sa Mindanao, Davao, binigyan ka ng 10,000 ng company mo. So you are the one who will be reimbursing, not reimburse, but to, tawag nila dito, to, yung bang you will be showing kung mga nagastos mo by mga supporting. So transparency, accountable ka dyan kung sinong, ikaw dapat, kung kaya binigay yung pera. Sa accounting kasi, no, pag nag-cash advance ka, you will be returning the mga receivable expenses and the excess yung sobra. Sa resource allocation, may stakeholder involvement. Engaging stakeholder ensures diverse perspective in resource allocation decision. So kaya nga pag mga hearing, hindi na isang tao yung hindi na isang tao yung involved sa pag-allocate ng budget. Committee siya. Example, 5-member committee. Siya lang nagde-decide. And another principle of resource allocation, efficiency in use. Efficiency emphasizes maximizing outputs with minimal inputs in resource allocation. So, hindi lang porke binigyan ka ng 10,000, iubusin mo yun. Kasi mas pag binigyan ka ng 10,000, tapos ang nagastos mo ay 7,000 lang. Pero yung output, yung objective ay na-achieve. Another principle, equity and distribution ng resources. Equity and distribution ensures fair access to resources across various communities. Ito naman ay pag sa mga barangay, you are the mayor of Quezon City, then mag-allocate ka ng budget doon sa mga barangays na nasasakupan mo. So of course, hindi equal ang pag-allocate ng budget. Kasi hindi equality but equity. Pag sinabi sa equality, lahat pare-pareho ng budget. May mga barangay na maraming population, may mga barangay na mayayaman, malalaki. May mga barangay na maraming tao. So, of course, dapat equitable. Equitable, proportionate, no? Yung pagbigay ng budget. That is equity. Equitable distribution, ang tawag natin dyan. Challenges in resource allocation, ito yung mga hindrance, bakit hindi nagagawa. Budget constraints, walang pera, o dapat obvious. Mahirap mag-allocate pag walang budget. Pag limited or scarce yung budget ng isang department, ng isang country. Kaya minsan kinakat yung budget kasi hindi abundant. Pag abundant siguro, hindi kinakat yung budget. Number 2, political influence can skew resources allocation decisions away from objective criteria. O kahit minsan ay equitable daw ang distribution, but sometimes may mga, because of politics, hindi ko sinabing tao, no? Hindi ko sinabing mga politician, but because of politics, they can influence yung pag-allocate. Example, mas malapit yung isang tao sa'yo, no? Yung isang barangay, doon ka nakatira. Yung mayor, doon nakatira sa barangay na. Mas malaking budget na makukuha doon. Challenges. Another challenge, assessing impact and outcomes. Assessing impact and outcomes is vital for evaluating resource allocation effectiveness. Continuous assessment, dapat. Pag walang assessment, sa pag-allocate, the challenge yan. So dapat merong assessment, di ba? Kung allocate ka na ng allocate, Hindi ka naman hindi ka nag-study, wala kang ginawang study about that barangay o di that is a challenge. Ibang challenge, mahirap mag-allocate. Mahirap So mahirap mag-assess. So that is one challenge, di ba? Kasi mahirap ang mag-assess. Siya na mag-assess at tinatamad minsan mag-assess yung iba sa walang bigay lang ng bigay. So that is one challenge. Another one, data limitations. Wala kang data. Hindi available yung data. Example, population. Example, you are going to allocate budget depending on the number of project na ginagawa sa isang barangay. Wala kang data. Kung ilan yung mga projects per barangay. Wala kang data kung ilan yung mga population sa isang barangay. So, data limitation, no? Manghula ka na lang. Allocate ka na ng allocate pag ganun. Hindi sa data-driven. So, I'm moving my slide. The last topic for this lesson is public policy and resource demands. Definition of public policy. Public policy refers to government actions addressing societal issues through laws, regulations, encompass various sectors, influencing citizens' lives directly. So, in the Philippines, what are the public policy? What are the public policy in the Philippines now? Some of those are embedded or incorporated sa mga batas na meron tayo. Example, when we talk about what are the policy sa labor, so meron tayong, we have the labor code. Diba? Pag tayo sa education, for example, we have the policy K-12 program, that is the policy, K-12 programs. Pag sa health policy, meron tayong universal healthcare programs ng government. Pag din sa environmental policies, anong policy ng government? Example, solid waste. Pag sa Quezon City, what is the policy of the government pagdating sa environmental policy? Zero plastic. Pag sa labor policy, minimum wage and workers protection, may policy ng government na ganun. Pag sa economic policies, tax reforms, yung mga batas na encompasses different sectors, no? I mentioned labor, I mentioned environment, I mentioned economic, I mentioned health, I mentioned labor, social welfare. So different policy. And what is the importance of this one sa society? Public policy shapes societal norms and standards. Example, standards. Pilipinas, bawal yung labor, child labor. That is the norm. In other countries siguro, some African countries, pwede magtrabaho yung bata. But in the country, sa atin, that is the norm. Bawal magtrabaho yung bata. That is the standard. Or standard na na lahat ay mag-aaral ng senior high school. That is the standard sa atin. The purpose, improve welfare of the people and manage the country effectively. May policy about national defense, di ba? Meron tayong policy na police protection, may ganoon tayo. So, the purpose, protect the country. So, overview of policy making process. The policy making process includes problem identification, formulation, adoption, implementation, and evaluation. Kaya nga sa Senate, no? Pag gagawa sila ng batas, hindi basta-basta sila gumagawa ng batas. meron tayong Senate hearing na ginagawa in aid of legislation. Sa Senate hearing, for example, they identify the problem, the root cause of the problem. Then based on that, they formulate, they create the law, they pass the law, the president will sign the law, and it should be implemented and to be adopted. But of course, ang isang batas, pag hindi na masyadong relevant, ini-evaluate natin kung it is still relevant for the public. So, sa mga hearing na gano'n, no, hindi lang isang tao, you have seen Senate hearing, maraming mga invited na mga resource person kasi maraming stakeholders ang kailangan before drafting a law. Example, Republic Act. Okay, and the next slide. Understanding resource demands, definition of resource demands. Resource demands entail the requirements for financial, human, and materials asset in policy formulation. So, bakit maraming allocated, mas maraming budget allocated sa isang department, for example, o depende sa demand. Kasi before you deduct the budget, may consultation muna kung kailangan talaga ibigay. Factors influencing resource demands, economic conditions. Kaya may yung budget sa government offices tumataas bawat taon kasi nga yung sweldo tumataas. And why are salary increasing? Yung sahod sumasabay sa sa mga bilihin, di ba? Sumasabay sa inflation. So pag yung economic conditions ay masyadong mahal na yung mga bilihin, o di magtataas ka ng sahod kasi mga supplier magtataas ng sahod. Isang product, pag tumaas ang supplier cost, yung price nila tataas din. Pag tumaas ang price ng isang commodity, wala ka nang mabili pag yung sahod mo maliit. So, tumataas yung sahod. So, yung budget para sa salary for next year ay tataas na rin. No? That is economic. Pwede rin demographic. No? Dumadami yung tao, dumadami yung mga nag-aaral, dumadami yung mga teachers na kailangan. So, tataas ang budget ng DepEd sa mga teachers. Pwede rin technological advancement. Why? Kasi nga, for 2027, you're a manufacturing company. The next year, kailangan mo na isang equipment na advance, yung mas mahal yun. So, yung budget tataas din, di ba? And types of resources and policy. Resources include financial. I have mentioned this sa ating week 1, lesson 1 PowerPoint, the financial resources, the funding, human capital, natural resources, infrastructure. Ito yung mga talagang kailangan natin in achieving the objective ng isang company, ng isang government. No? Example, government objectives is to economic growth. If that is the goal of the government of the country, economic growth, 10% economic growth for 2027. How to achieve that objectives? Kailangan ng pera, financial. Kailangan ng tao. Kailangan ng infrastructure. Kasi ang isang country, you can measure the growth ng isang country kung marami mga infrastructure, mga buildings, highways, mga daan. Pag wala nakikita, puro agricultural, walang infra. So yung objectives na economic growth parang mahina. Economic growth the businesses contribute sa economic growth pag wala silang dadaanan ng mga daan, building highways, mga ports, matagal yung biyahe. Kaya priority yung mga build projects dati ni President Duterte. Kasi mga daanan, mga tulayin so very crucial sa flow of commerce and industry. So next slide. The relationship between public policy and resources, policy goals and resource allocation, effective resource allocation aligns with achieving specific policy goals and objectives. Prioritizing goals ensures efficient use of limited resources. Kung anong goal yung priority ng government, doon nilalagay yung mga resources. If the resources are limited, so may mga project na talagang priority. Policy ng government, build. Policy ng government, education policies, K-12 programs. Doon mapupunta yung mga budget. Kaya mas malaking budget ng DepEd. Kasi priority yung K-12. Policy ng government yung K-12 programs. Impact on community resources. Public policies significantly influence community resources, determining their availability and quality. Public policies as example, public policies, labor policies, minimum wage. Tinaasan yung minimum wage. Dadagdagan na ng 85 pesos. So dito yung availability ng fund will be affected. The quality of fund will be affected. Kasi tataas ang sahod. Challenges in meeting resources demands. Ito yung mga sagabal, no? Kung bakit yung mga resources ay hindi natin magagamit or scarcity of resources. Of course, first is budget constraint. Walang budget, limited yung budget ng government. So walang ma-allocate. May ma-allocate kaya lang hindi masyadong maganda, may bawas. Challenge, political uncertainty, political dynamics may disrupt resource availability. No? Pag hindi mo you're the president and hindi mo ka partido yung mga mag-a-approve ng budget, pwede matatagal yung approval ng budget. Tulad ng case ng vice president, di ba? Kalaban niya yung mga mag-a-approve ng budget, hindi tinitira siya ngayon sa budget ng DepEd. Number 3, challenge, public engagement and support. Pag walang public engagement, pag walang support, so misallocation ang mangyayari dyan. No? Pag walang transparency, misallocation. Pag hindi alam ng public, misallocation. So that mayroong active participations in public, transparency, para yung mga taong may binigyan ng budget should be accountable. I think this one is the last slide. Strategies for effective resource management. Parang we are just repeating ng stakeholder collaboration. Pag mga budget hearing, hindi lang isang tao nag-approve, but a committee, example, 5 committee members. That is collaboration. Another one, evidence-based decision making. Pag nag-allocate ng budget, dapat data-driven. No? Dapat, pag nag-request siya ng budget, hindi ito kung ano rin gusto mo, kundi ano yung nakalagay sa mga data. Supported ng data dapat yung mga budget na to be allocated. And other strategy, innovations in resource allocation, innovative approaches like technology and data analytics. So, you have the data. Pag masyadong maraming data, hindi naman tayo lahat ay marunong magbasa ng data. But through innovation, through technology, example, AI, no? AI can read data. I-prompt mo lang yung AI na basahin isang data, it can analyze, no? Kung anong implication ng data sa budget decision ng isang company. So, AR are useful. Akala natin yung AI hindi na masyadong pakinabangan, parang unethical gamitin, pero may AI use sa business. Marami siyang unlimited ang gamit ng AI. So gamitin natin AI in decision making as a tool, no? As a guide. Alright, that is the last slide, and hoping that you guys got something from the lesson today. And once again, this has been Dr. Cortez I just want to reiterate, no, pa-subscribe sa aking munting channel. Maraming salamat. Bye everyone.